Definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So with these how-to guides, I've been looking at this crease on the arm. So I'm not a man that wears shirts very often. Is this obviously it's right, but how is it that you iron a shirt?
I don't. No. It's a
how-to question.
I'll tell you some secrets as well. Why I wear waistcoats. I don't have to iron the rest of the shirt.
Yes!
So
that is a life hack. All right. What's up? It's been a while since we've recorded a new Paul Mort Talks Shit show. You guys won't have missed it because we've been very well organised. And today I'm joined by not only producer Mac.
Not only, oi.
He's here, but today we're talking shit with my guy, Mr. Simon Whittaker. Simon, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Mate.
It's actually great. I was just saying before, like great to get out.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely great to be here.
And
Thanks for inviting me along.
Obviously, we're a meet apart. Yeah, fuck you,
We've got
Boris.
our masks on.
Eat shit, Boris. Hey, listen, Simon. I've wanted Simon on for a little while because his story's amazing. I love what he stands for. I love what he does.
Oh, thank you.
I also love his fucking shop. I was trying to describe what your shop was before, but I did. I was thinking about this morning, how am I going to introduce Simon? Because I do a little bit of prep mentally, right? But how am I going to introduce Simon? So Simon owns a company called Master Debonair. If you could describe Master Debonair, what is it?
Yeah, do you know, it's funny you should ask that question because the other day I was talking to our retail manager and we used to be known as the suit shop, the place to go for
Mate, and that's
for
what I
suits.
thought. But it's more than
and
that.
it was. And when we first started, it literally was all suits. Now we've expanded, we've doubled the size of the stores. So it is menswear, so it's all your casual wear. But it's an experience. It really is. And we'll talk some more about that.
It totally is, mate, because that's what I thought. Is it a suit store? And then I'm thinking, it's so much more than that because it's not fucking. I mean, we've got up here, we've got Moss Brothers, we've got all those things. You don't really. I don't think your suits are normal suits, right?
Do you know? I mean, one of the reasons why we did set up is I couldn't find the type of suits that I really wanted.
Yeah.
I would say yes. The big retailers, they are competitors, but. You know, when we set the business up, it was like, and designing the store, which my wife and business partner did, Eve, it was coming to our home. It was always about that. So not just coming into a shop, not spending 10 minutes looking for a suit. Yeah. It's like come in and spend hours.
And being told you can't try. One of my favourite ones when you go into a shop, they're like, oh, you can't try the shirt on. I can't try the shirt on.
Do you know, again, I suppose it's really difficult for consumers, especially now during lockdown. And they don't know the rules. Well, you can come in and try.
I'm talking like forever. You have to try on like... just for the next size and that.
Do you know, when we first opened, there was a guy pulled up in a Bentley, and our customers are not just that type of customer. They're not. Your average Joe Blogs, and that's what I class myself as. Yeah. And it was all about, I've walked into to shops before and been frowned upon. I remember going into a Range Rover garage with my shorts on, I'm heavily tattooed, and they wouldn't speak to us. You know, but this guy come in, and I'll not mention the other retailer, but he couldn't try a shirt on. He had to take it home. And this was years ago. Yeah. You know, very expensive shirt.
I get it now,
But it's like, you know, like you've got to go with what your customer wants ultimately as well. So try a bloody shirt on. We're a clothes shop ultimately. So try the thing on.
It's mad, innit? It's mad, innit? So Simon, how did you end up? I would have asked you this whether we're on a podcast or not. How did you end up setting up this? Like, where did Master Debonair come from?
Yeah, it's.
How old is it now?
I think. Well, it's just short of 5 years. Yeah. And I it's quite poignant this because I lost my dad 5 years ago tomorrow. So like the timing of this podcast, and my dad was like he'd go to work even on a weekend, and he was a financial advisor, and he'd go to a weekend sometimes into his office, and he'd have his 3-piece suit on still on a Saturday if he need to pop in, and he actually started off at Burton's the Tailors in Sunderland as well, so always dressed really well. You know, if you see some of the photographs of my dad throughout the years, and. Do you know, like I'd worked in quite a corporate environment for years, and I always wanted to do my own thing. And when my dad died, it was like, right, I want to get some really smart accessories for his funeral. And I looked all over for something a little bit different. Didn't necessarily, I didn't want it just to be black or anything.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find
you
anything
talking
that stood out. Do you know, like pocket square?
Pocket squares and
pocket square tie clip.
Those things there.
Yeah,
like pocket watch.
Pocket watch.
I love a pocket watch.
Do you know all of those? And I looked everywhere. Eventually, I went into Hugo Boss in Newcastle, bought a couple of bits and pieces, paid 4 times what you paid our place now, and they were okay, but they weren't what I was looking for. They weren't something different. Yeah. So obviously the funeral, next couple of weeks, and I was sales director in my last job, extremely well paid, working for a multinational company, turning over £500 million, and I had this idea of setting up some kind of accessory clothing business, and that's how
you think that sales background, because I'm always on there. You think that sales background helped massively?
Like, I've got 15, 16 years before we set Master Debonair up, experience in sales and marketing.
Yeah.
So that made a huge difference.
I always say this, a business lives and dies on sales and marketing. The product's obviously got to be great, but I think so many people get caught up in the product. They don't know how to sell it.
Do you know, like, here's an example about the product. All as I knew about products was that I loved them visually.
Yeah.
And the quality had to be great and the price had to be right. In terms of, like, do you know, when we first started, people were like, is that wool? Is this, that? And is that? Now, the industry can get quite technical, do you know, in terms of suits. And I was like, listen, I just want to wear a suit that is right for me. Yeah. But we ultimately built a business where, yes, the product is at the forefront, and we sourced and we looked. Do you know, like, I found, to start with, the accessories from China, and then we went to a trade show in the January 2016 and found some supplies, and I was like, shit, this is amazing. We've got these Wow check suits and these brogues and everything else. And then that was it. But the product, it had to be about the whole destination, the personality of the brand. And when I set up the social media channels, and that was not long after my dad died, sort of the end of November 2015, it was like speaking to me. Yeah. So, well, it was me, because I was replying, I was posting, and it was like, you've got my dulcet northeast tones, and you haven't got, but we reply to everything. And you know, anybody who made a negative comment was like, you're shit and blah, blah, blah. I'd reply and they go, oh, sorry, we just don't normally get a reply from anybody else. So that sales and marketing side, without that, we wouldn't have a business. Nowhere.
So what was I'm always intrigued at this. What was the step from, like, was there a moment where you're like, fuck it, I'm all in on this?
Well, it's again,
you know what I mean? Like everyone has ideas, right? You've gone from idea to fucking big business.
Like, do you know what helped? I went to a conference. It might have been, I'm going to say 2014, 2015, and it always stood out. Yeah. And there was a speaker on talking about marketing. And again, he was like, most businesses, you either dip your toe in or you dive right in. Yeah. And that stuck with me. You know how, like, some things like just stick with you. Yeah. And I was like, fucking, and that just stuck with us. So, and I had a friend as well who we used to work with at a marketing agency, and he says, like, listen, test anything online that you're going to do. Yeah. So eventually, it took us a couple of months. I built a website from nothing. I didn't know what the hell to do. So I was coming home from this job, managing a sales team of 10 and everything that went with it, and building a website, sourcing product. And we went live at the end of February 2016, and I think my sister was our first customer. And I thought, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be all. That's gonna be all that we see here. Yeah. And it just. We started selling. We had suits, we had shirts, we had shoes. So it started
off as just a side hustle?
It did. It did, but I always wanted a shop. I always wanted a, like, because I drink coffee, like, till it comes at me flipping whatever. And I wanted a coffee shop. But the whole point of that was to sit around drinking coffee all day and eating brownies. And I always wanted this shop. So when sales started to come through, but I'd gone to the bank, and if you've got an idea, nobody gives you advice, but luckily I've worked in business for a long time. Yeah. I went to the bank, I went to NatWest with a business idea, and I did some sales projections. And I said, I want 25 grand to buy stock and build a website and everything else. And he looked at the business plan, and I literally got 25 grand in my bank the following day. He said, I've never seen a business plan, But bearing in mind, I was used to putting sales budget and sales together as £20 million. And that was just a big start.
Mate, I'm going to have to drop a bomb in here. This will blow your mind, this. This will blow your mind. So, you guys who are watching and listening know that I've been self-employed for 19 years now, right?
Jesus.
Right? In 2014, I did my first 7 figures, right? That was also when I had my biggest meltdown. But last year was the first time I've ever had a business plan. Do
you know
how mad's that?
Hey, listen.
How mad is that?
This doesn't surprise me, right? Because I had all the strategies working for these big businesses, sales plans and everything else.
They sound good.
But then it comes to your own thing. We had nothing. I mean, literally, it's taken us nearly 5 years to actually have any kind of strategy. Very similar to yourself. Where sometimes, and this is what happens with fast growth. I mean, it has its positives and it has its minuses. Because I think we turned over like in the first year, $250,000, which was just ridiculous when we eventually opened our first shop. Second year, just short of $1 million. Third year, 1.2. Last year, 2.4 million. Now, it's not going to be anything. COVID's just killed that. We'll end up doing about, possibly 40% of that. But it'll come back. But sometimes rapid growth isn't a good thing. So it's all about using this time wisely to actually put a plan in place.
I think that's been the case for a lot of people, hasn't it? Obviously, given it for some people.
Well, we were talking about it before. Simon was saying, you bang on with what you... Finish your sentence, man. I've just cut you off there. I got excited.
I can see it lighting up in your eyes.
I got excited.
No, just a case of, I think, like, it's given a lot of people time to slow down and kind of reevaluate. Is this really what you want to be doing? Are you heading in the right direction?
I think you have absolutely summed that up perfectly, because I think when you're in the midst of growth and everybody's around you going, wow, what an amazing business. Sometimes like I felt like a fraud. We've won some like amazing like industry awards as well, and probably rightly so for what we've done from nothing. But we've absolutely used this time, and I've looked at the business and had a look and thought, is this what I really want? What do I really, what's our core? And our core was always about that tight-knit team.
Family type vibe. And we went, and listen, it elevated the brand, and the brand awareness. And that's why people travel from all over the country to visit our shops. But I've really thought about it, and we are going back to what we started and what we stood for, which is about real guys, helpful. Even like shooting, we will use model stills, but we're going to use the guys around us. We're going to use our team in the shop. We're going to use our friends and brand ambassadors. They're not going to be brand ambassadors. They're going to be friends of Master Debonair.
I like that.
Yeah, listen, it works for some businesses, it works for some people, but for us, it's our friends. So that's where we'll really be putting our efforts into everybody around us who we love. They'll be the ones who...
when I was looking on the Instagram, I was having a little stalk and stuff. What I feel like I need? I feel like I need a cigar and a whiskey. That's what I feel. I don't ever smoke cigars.
Do you know? I mean, you've got to come across to the shop, because... Like we've still got some plans for next year. We've got the yard out the back, and I've got some plans for some eaty typey, drinky typey, whatever it is, smoky cigary type place. But like you come into the private showroom, and I say, listen, if I designed the shop and the brand, it would be white walls. Where Eve, my wife and business partner, she's brand director, so she's created ultimately the look and feel.
Mate,
and it's like sitting in it. To be fair. Like our house looks like this because we've used the same painting. But it's for me, it's not like coming into a shop. It is coming into your home. I'll never.
What's interesting, Simon? We've got a guy, Les, he's actually a shop fitter. And I was thinking about this the other day when I walked down King Street. Obviously, the turnover of stalls there right now is huge, and I look in the shop and I'm like, with nothing in them. These shops are all the same. But you could take all of your stock out of your shop, and it would still be mint.
It just, yeah. I mean, that's something else, talking about the high street, and that's maybe for another day. But you're right. It like there's a lot of thought goes into it. We've got no experience in retail whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, we've got no experience in interior design. It is.
And do you know why? Because there'll be people listening in that want to do something.
Do you know?
They've got an idea and they won't do it because they think they need experience.
Oh, hey, listen.
There's only one way to get experience, right?
There is, and every job I've had over the years before we set this up, I had zero experience in that industry. Yeah. What I could do is, now I'm not a salesperson, I help and I advise, and I started my life as a process engineer, so solving problems, and all as I've ever done throughout my sales career and this now is solve problems. And a guy walks into a shop and they don't know what to wear, you solve the problem. And that's all it is. You help and you advise.
I love that. So, mate, what made you come up? Where's Master Debonair come from?
Well, that was on my head. I've been waiting to ask it.
That one's quite an easy one. In my drinking days, we went to the pub and I was like, right,
mate, was segueing lovely into the conversation.
I know that, like, in the last 5 years.
I can't wait to get into this. How long Master Debonair?
But like Master Debonair, so like. My inspiration, it's funny, I don't get asked as much now because it's not on, but always used to get asked, where's the inspiration from? Is it Peaky Blinders? And still to this day, I have not seen that program.
Really?
Right? We went to a Peaky Blinders ball last year and I had to Google search what they look like. Now, I am told
like,
that...
I'm wearing this shit.
I'm like, what is this? Anyway, my inspiration is I like older movies. So I like the Sherlock Holmes movies were Basil Rathbone, you know, the real black and white.
Not the one with Robert Downey Jr. in it.
He's not bad, actually. I quite like him as a Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. So, like, I like the kind of aristocrat kind of, you know, feel. And so I wanted another word for aristocrat and whatever. And we came up with debonair. I was like, debonair, quite like. And I don't like the word dapper. Like we never ever use that word in our social. That explains maybe another retailer. I don't know. So debonair, and I was like, right, okay, let's Google. Yeah. So then we were googling what goes with it, and master. We put master in front of it, and that's where Master Debonair.
So is debonair? Is this a word of?
It ain't. No. Debonair is like a gentleman. You know, a well dressed. It doesn't necessarily need to be a gentleman. Just, you know, you would say instead of you look extremely well turned out, you look extremely debonair. And I just felt as though that was a fucking
great word, by the way, isn't it?
Brilliant.
It's a great word.
I don't know. I can't remember if it was me or Eve.
Mate, I'll be taking credit for that.
I would have made it up.
No chance anyone else is getting that.
Exactly. And then, like I say, we look for. I knew it needed to be something else, and I didn't want it to be Mr. Master. I was like, Master Debonair it is, and that was it. And we're like, right, we get the URL for the website. We spoke to a designer, Ross Palmer, who designed our brand, who we both work with at a marketing agency. And all of a sudden we had a brand, and like I say, we started work on the website, and that's where Master Debonair came from.
How exciting is it that you can just make a brand up that quick as well?
It's mad, isn't it?
Do you know,
it's mad.
You can, in it. However, I'll kind of go back on this. I did spend a year before knowing that I wanted to set a business up. And I was speaking to a guy who's had a lot of businesses in hospitality, and we looked at all kinds. Now, we looked and we thought, what can we do? You know, I was like, at the time, like I was thinking microbreweries, and then we were looking at chairs, and we nearly bought, believe it or not, I forgot about this, we nearly bought a pet business.
Really?
Because when I worked for a digital marketing agency, I worked with a pet suppliers. So not just food, but also like the medication and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, I always want to shop. I can take something online. I know I can. Yeah. And we went through due diligence, and anyway, they wanted too much money for it. And I was promoted again. And so like I had looked seriously at setting up another business, but sometimes it needs to come to you. Sometimes it has to be personal to you. Yeah. Sometimes it's like it's solving a problem. This is like, you know, if you're solving a problem that doesn't already have a solution, then it's like, go with that. Go with what
I remember once someone said, you don't really build a 7-figure business or an 8-figure business. You solve an 8-figure or a 7-figure problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't, I think most businesses exist because they solve a problem.
It is. And I say all the time now that our product is secondary. I should buy well. I should buy and know what our customers want to buy. Everything else around it is what takes the time. Because some people say, oh, you just open the shop and you put your feet up. Honestly, it's 14-hour days and it's relentless because social media does drive a lot of traffic and footfall into our physical bricks and mortar stores as well. So, but find something that you're passionate about, because otherwise you'll probably hate it within a year or something.
Yeah.
So were you saying stores there? So is there multiple?
Yeah, so we have, we had 3 when we went in the first lockdown, but we closed the one in London. London is just dead. The city is dead. I went down there.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, man.
It was crazy.
Do you know, like...
We're there on Thursday?
I mean, the one thing about it is you can get around extremely quick these days. But, like, I love the hustle and bustle of London. I've been going for decades now with different jobs. So we closed the London shop, but we've got a shop in Chesterfield and we've got our shop in
Chesterfield happened, by the way?
Do you know,
because it's random as fuck, isn't it?
It is. Somebody, I saw a message on Facebook last night saying, can I ask you a question? Why have you got a shop in Chesterfield? Because we visited you one in East Bolton, but we actually live in Chesterfield. Said it's just a random question. Why? So I've been looking at other shops for years. You know, we get people travelling to the northeast from Brighton, Aberdeen, wherever, every week. Every week. From day one, and it's nuts. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. And we got contacted by the owner of a menswear shop, but she had a bridal shop downstairs. And the menswear business was getting a bit too much for her, and she wanted to focus on her bridal wear. So she contacted us and said, would you be interested in buying the business? Above
a bridal shop where there's people already going.
Yeah, well, again,
it's a no-brainer.
You create your own opportunities, right? Because myself and Eve had talked about where our location should be, and we're like, bridal shops, and then all of a sudden this came along. So I was contacted. I was contacted on the Saturday. Eve bizarrely was down in Derbyshire at a karate competition. I forgot all about this with our girls, and I rang. I said, where are you? Like, where are you? I said, we've got this opportunity in Chesterfield. She says, I'm 10 minutes drive. Yeah. She went and had a look at it on the Sunday. She said, it looked good to me. I was down there on the Monday, took it over on the Tuesday. So we bought the goodwill and everything that went with it. Yeah. But then since then, like, you know, during these lockdowns, we haven't held back. We got the opportunity to relocate the Chesterfield store because it wasn't on brand, and we found a 3-story terraced house very similar to East Bolton. Yeah. And within 3 weeks, we ripped the guts out of it, rebuilt it, and we launched the new Chesterfield shop. So
during lockdown.
That's
crazy. That's insane. Simon, let's get to this because I love talking about success and winning and setting things up. But what I love talking about even more is struggles, because I think it's important. Is we get a lot of podcasts that talk about success and winning and hustle and grind. But this is why I started this show, because I have the balls to talk about things that most people don't have the balls to talk about. So talk me through some of the struggles, because listen, I think I have a fairly stressful business, but I can't imagine, before we get a lockdown, let's talk about the thing that me and you talk about quite a lot. Because I've been on Simon's podcast, which he changed the name of, and both he comes up with amazing. What was the first one called?
He changed Blokes Being Blokes.
Blokes Being Blokes. I was like, that's an amazing name. Blokes Being Blokes. And then there was something else. What was the next one called? It just had a great name. It had a great name. I can't remember. I was like, wow, that's a fucking great name. It was a great name. Blokes Being Blokes with their balls out was the second one, I think, wasn't it? Is that right? Sorry, Blokes Being Blokes with their balls. Not that I'm saying I had no pants on when I did it. I just had me top off on. But let's talk about some of these. Because running a business like that, a lot of staff, right?
Yeah, we were, before we went into lockdown, 32 staff. 32
staff. You've got, it's not a business that's based, I mean, it is a service-based business, but you've got stock. You've got money invested in stock. Yeah. It's a fucking stressful business, this. What have been some of the hardest things you've been through?
Do you know, like, this goes back to one of your comments before about having a strategy and a plan.
Yeah.
The biggest advice to anybody, is I think you can get carried away. You can bring people into the business that you think are going to help.
Yeah.
The financial aspects you can have. I don't really talk about turnover too much, but 2.4 million turnover last year, and very little profit to show from it.
Yeah.
And a lot of mistakes built around stock and ordering. Naturally, I love clothes.
Yeah.
And I want to order everything, and to have no financial controls in place. Now, we were just about, when COVID started to hit us, January this year, 2020. We were just about to go into our peak season. So we were just about to do about 70% of our turnover from mid-January to the end of June, which is our financial year, with all the wedding parties.
Yes.
We're fully booked in both of our showrooms. You've got the prom events coming up. You've got the races.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about that. I was just like, no one's buying suits.
Yeah.
I was just like, no one's, the shop's closed, but then you've got,
if
weddings, even people that order online, so, mate, you guys did that amazing suit for me. I haven't had a chance to wear it.
Well, exactly. So why would you be buying a suit?
That's what I mean.
So then all of a sudden we go into that, and I've got round about £1 million worth of retail stock in my warehouse, and it's not moving.
Yeah.
There's it's just not moving.
Yeah.
So obviously I've been invoiced for that,
Yeah.
and there's no sales coming through.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the pressure's starting from suppliers, and I've got staff to pay, and I know the government brought everything else in. And oh my God! And do you know, like that really was just the start of it. Do you know? But it has got progressively worse as the years gone on. We've made a lot of changes. We've made a lot of cuts. It kind of, I'm not the type of person who look at my possessions or anything like that.
Yeah.
We now have the one car between us.
Yeah.
I would happily not have a car. I'm not bothered about having. I'm not bothered about having an office. We close the office. Cars. All of that. I just now all I care about is my family and my dogs, and kind of my friends around me, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. You get carried away on things and. Listen, I was like my drinking just was getting massively out of control.
Well, here. This is where I was trying to get
This
to.
is like,
yeah.
do you know?
Talk me through this story then, because I think this is your story. So many people resonate with, and I think it's amazing what you've done. By the way, so fucking fair play. Talk me through this.
Do you know? It's probably up there achievement wise, in my opinion, with what I've done with Master Debonair.
I agree.
For years, I take after my dad. My dad was a social git, and I never used to drink during the week. And I get a weekend and I want to drink everything, and that was all right. But it was progressively getting out of hand to the point where he was just going to kick me out. Do you know? And it was getting sort of last year. I had a point where
you fucking split your head up or something.
Yeah, I'd gone out and. One thing that I could do is just keep on drinking, but as one of my friends said, your head would just go, not in an awful way. Yeah. Well, I say not in an awful way, not in a fighty whatever. Yeah. But so anyway, I woke up. I think that I'd come home. Yeah. I'd been in the pub with Eve, and it was always like my favourite phrase was one last drink. My one last drink was another 2 bottles of wine. Yeah. I'd ended up around somebody's house. Yeah. The guys were together around there. I must have walked home. God knows how I got home. The next thing I know, I'm waking up the next day and there's blood everywhere. It's utter carnage. And I'd got home and I must have tried to put the key in the door, and we've got about 3 concrete steps coming up the door, and I must have gone. Now, the bloodbath was ridiculous outside. All outside. I must have lost pints of blood. I didn't know any of this until I woke up the next day. I woke up, I'd gone to the bathroom, there's blood up the walls everywhere, on the bed, the pillow. So, I woke up, he was like, can you remember last night? I'm like, no, not at all. I said, she says, you split your head open? I said, just stick a plaster on it. So I had a look at it. I was still smashed. She took us to hospital, putting staples in my head, and and I knew I had to change.
Yeah, that was your wake-up call.
It wasn't because this went on because our last awards that we won, we were down in London, and she's like, please just take it easy and stuff like that. Again, way too much. God knows how many bottles of champagnes, beers, wines, whatever. Yeah. Same again. She went home, and I just thought that's it. She's gonna leave me now. Yeah. And I talked to you about this before, and I remember coming back and just on the edge of a bridge and thinking, I've just had enough of this. Like I cannot help myself. She's helped me.
Isn't that amazing though that you were at an awards night?
Yeah.
Did you win the award?
We won the award.
You won the
Best
award.
retailer. Yeah.
So you won the award for best retailer. Think about that. A few years before, you were just fucking starting out.
Yeah.
And now you've won an award for best retailer. Yeah, you were still...
It just it's the ultimate high and the ultimate low.
Yeah.
Do you know? But I do think, I try to look at the reasons why. I seem to be on like self-destruct for a long time.
Yeah.
And I knew it. I absolutely knew I was. And I don't think, and I still don't believe that I've grieved for my dad. I still feel that way. Yeah. We lost one of our Rottweilers recently, and I was in absolute bits. With my dad, I still don't feel as though, and I feel as though I was trying to like hurt myself in a way. And anyway, I came back up from London. I think that was maybe the Saturday. Eve was away. Yeah. On the Sunday, I went to Hamsley Forest on my bike. Mm-hmm. I downloaded a podcast, which I can't remember what it is. I'll have a look at that, on quitting alcohol. I came out of Hamsley Forest. It's like I walk into a forest and I come out and I'm healed. Really? And I was like, right, I'm quitting alcohol. And I thought, well, nobody's going to believe me because that you cannot. I'm sure there's plenty of us who we've all said that. We've all,
most people say it every Sunday morning.
Well, they do. They do.
Never drink it again.
They do. And I'm 14 months down the line and never touched a drink. And do you know what it is? Like, I don't. Bearing in mind, I loved drinking. I loved socialising. Yeah. I think fortunately for me is I'm still a social person.
Yeah, without it.
Yeah. So what I found is I was saying yes to a lot more things and going out more to a lot more events because I would say no to things knowing it would be utter carnage. I'd wake up on the couch or on the floor not knowing where the hell I was or what I'd said to Eve. Yeah. And I thought, this has to stop. Yeah. And I just discovered like non-alcoholic beers and going out and since then. But I had this like, it was like clarity. I cannot explain it.
How long did it take you to kind of get your head around the, like, because I always think that for a lot of people, the first few weeks are the hardest. Did you have that or was it just a snap?
Snap.
Was it?
It was a snap. Honestly, I shit you not, right? I have never, ever wanted to touch another drop of alcohol.
Wow.
This hasn't been difficult quitting alcohol. I think like...
You know what? I've interviewed 2 people on this and they both said the same. Once they made the decision, that was it.
I was going to say, because there's almost like when you make a decision, there's a decision made and then internally deep
there's a justification about why it's...
You always know you haven't truly committed to it.
I mean, listen, like we've all... I've done something where it's like, I'm never doing that again. Yeah. I'm packing in smoking. I'm not eating flipping chocolate. That's something else I'm addicted to now. I just replace addictions, like, tattoo addictions. I'll run out of space soon. But when you've got an addictive personality like that, it kind of, you're almost looking for the next thing.
Yes.
But alcohol, I can't honestly believe how focused and clear. I'm telling you something, and I said this the other day. If I hadn't quit alcohol, I wouldn't be here now.
Really?
There is no way. I would have, because I would have gone home at the most difficult times in the last couple of months.
Yes.
And it's awful to say this, and Eve agrees as well. I would have topped myself in some way. I wouldn't be here because I would have done something stupid. I would have, because it would have been made easier by having alcohol.
Yeah.
And
you would have had the perfect fucking reason.
Yeah.
You had the perfect reason. Now, because listen, if you're drinking when things are going well, if you were doing that when things are going well, imagine what it would have been like when things weren't going so well.
I'd hate to think, do you know, like I would, maybe it's when I get our business back in order and COVID kind of settles down a little bit. One thing that I do want to do, I think I've got like loads of life experience. Yeah. And I would love to I don't know. I think there's plenty of people help me. out there, and I wonder why sometimes. I'd love to give a little bit back, even if it's just a snippet. You know, I share a lot of stuff on my own personal social media and LinkedIn and stuff like that, and some people message and say, like, I really admire your honesty.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you know what? If that just, some people, if you don't like us, then unfollow us. It's fine. But if somebody takes a snippet of something, then
well, mate, look at how much value Simon's dropped today. Like, you've gave so much value, like, just by telling a story.
Yeah.
So there's been no. I mean, we haven't even got to the what advice would you give people. We haven't even done that yet. We've just told you a story.
Yeah.
And for me, there's often a lot more power in that than there is in giving advice, because now people get to see. And this is why I was so keen to get to that story. I love the first part.
Yeah.
But the second part is what people need to fucking hear.
Do you know, it is, because it's not all smiley, whatever. I keep saying it. I work in one of the, in my opinion, I'm heavily biased, one of the more sexy industries there is, you know, because all as you see are them pretty pictures and me on social media doing videos. But that ultimately, you know, I can be having a shit day, but I know I've got to switch that on.
It's the highlight reel, isn't it? Highlight reel.
It is, yeah. And you've got to switch it on, and you don't see kind of what really goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, I will only give advice where I've kind of learnt myself. Yeah. Do you know, and I keep saying this, and what I was really conscious of was that I didn't want to like ram it down people's faces.
Preachy.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse. Do you know, I had it's always stuck in my mind, and I've told Eve this story. When not long after I first moved into sales, I worked alongside, it was when I was at Silent Night Furniture, who again were kind of part of a big group, and we had a sales manager, John Davey, and he quit alcohol, and he was a lovely fella, and I never asked him like why he did, you know. And anyway, a couple of years later, I got a phone call, and he'd hung himself, and what I was really worried about, and I know this is a little bit morbid, but I think men have to talk about this, and it's important.
Yeah, they do.
that we do. Is I always said to Eve, I said, I've got this fear that if I quit alcohol, I'll end up like John. And it's always stuck with me.
Really?
You know, I just like...
It's interesting that.
Yeah, because...
If you quit, you'll end up like that.
Yeah, because I haven't asked the full story about... why he took his own life, and I've got friends who I've spoken to and stuff like that. I don't know whether he went back to alcohol. I don't know what it was, but it's always stuck with me that. And I thought, you know, and again,
and that you've linked those two together.
Yeah, and I've had to learn. And again, it's important to remember those things in life.
Why do you think that? So, like, what connection have you got to quitting alcohol that you?
I don't know. Do you know? I just. With John, and you know, I spent a lot of time with John, because when I went into, again, an industry that I knew nothing about, furniture, and I went in a key account manager, managing all the multiple retailers, and he kind of took me under his wing, and he was just a lovely, well-spoken guy, really helpful, and I just wished I'd spoke to him and asked him his reasons why. Yeah. Do you know, because I have no problem anybody asking me, and I'll be very open and honest why I quit alcohol. Yeah. And I'll tell them it was me. You know, I created my own shit, nobody else. You know, I don't blame anybody.
Do you know if I had one of those buttons like Westwood has where the horns go off and the bomb goes off? You know what I mean? Do you know that when you press that? Do you know on Westwood, the DJ has that horn? I would have just pressed it there. So Simon's just said it was him that created his own mess.
What?
That's a fucking mic drop there. I mean, the mic's on a fucking stand in that, but...
do you know, like, it's too... Listen, I've been around the block now. I'm 47-year-old, 48 next year. You know, first wife and kids and stuff like that. And even then, like, I look at the person I was then, and I'm a very different person. But I'll hold my hands up. You know, I wasn't the easiest person to live with. Do you know, I'm not...
Think about it. No one fucking pinned you on the floor and poured alcohol down your neck.
No. Listen, they don't. Yeah. And like, you've got a choice to make here. Yeah. On if you can handle. Now again,
think about, there's so many things you could blame here. I hear all the time. You can blame. My favorite one is, it's just peer pressure. I'm like, fucking hell. Come on, man. So I get it.
Do you know what it is? Come on. Right, I could have quite easily, unfortunately for my sins, I was born in Sunderland, so I'm a Sunderland season ticket holder.
Me too, ditto. Ditto.
But, you know, I could have quite easily, I go to the match with my mate, right? And he'll not mind me saying this, like, because he likes his booze. He's the biggest flipping drinker that goes. Now, he's about double the size of me, yet I'm putting away what he's putting away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I quit, I was like, I'm not going to stop going to like the football,
Yes.
you know, and I didn't. And I was just drinking non-alcoholic beers. And at first it was like, what you doing? And they didn't know what to say or do or something like that. It's like I had some kind of affliction. But like you have those
That happened to
decisions.
me because you know what I drink? I'll get like a pint of blackcurrant and soda, right? Which just stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And I get it looks like I've got lipstick on when I've been drinking it. I'm like, fucking hell, I knew I'd ordered the wrong drink. So you went on non-alcoholic beers. I know you're passionate about this, right?
Well, yeah, do you know, it's typical me because like I go back to that. You dip your toes in or you dive right in.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't learn to swim dipping
So
your fucking
like
toes in, mate.
so the non-alcoholic beers, like a complete bore when it comes to anything I love.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm total for hours. So straight away with the non-alcoholic beers, I was like, right, I'll have a little look. I know what you can get in the pubs. It's a world of like a labyrinth of these craft. So I was a craft beer drinker and a real ale drinker.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a nightmare. I was out
also
and
known
out
as
lager drinker.
That's also known as a proper drinker.
Well, do you know? Well, as well as gin and tonics and anything that I would get my hands on. So like, all of a sudden, I'm Google searching like all these non-alcoholic beers, and there's like real cool, like loads of cool non-alcoholic, and they're flipping fantastic. Like there is loads. But
Do you know, mate? Do you know this whole thing about an addictive personality? I agree with it. You might. Lesley knows this about me. When I start doing something, I'm going all in on it.
Yeah.
I'm going balls deep. I'm not dipping the tip in. I'm being a bit more vulgar. I'm not dipping the tip of me bell end in. I'm going fucking balls deep into it.
I think
So you've just swapped, like, how would you've just swapped that for that?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But what a healthier addiction.
It is, and it isn't because also like I've got this like sugar rush, which is just ridiculous. So like the amount of chocolate that I eat now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But kind of listen,
It's better, ain't it?
I will cut
You don't
down
get a chocolate
on that.
hangover, really.
Yeah.
You don't get a chocolate. Talk to me about these alcoholic beers then, because again, there'll be a lot of guys listening to this that are like, do you know what? I need to get a fucking handle on me drinking, particularly with Christmas coming up. Like that's fucking. Like I'm honestly, I'm talking to my publisher about this at the minute, my book publisher, and we're like, they wanted to do a January launch, and I'm like, nah, we cannot wait until then. I said the time that people need to hear what I've got to say is between Christmas and New Year.
Absolutely,
because that's fucking disaster.
Absolutely.
I hate that time of year anyway.
It's like an ether, isn't it?
It
Where
is.
time's just not real.
There's no days.
Nah.
There's no work for a lot of people. There's lockdown going. Everything's just going to blend into one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, people need to hear this. So for the guys listening in, just talk to me a little bit more about this alcoholic beer, because non-alcoholic beer even, because I know it's something you're passionate about. Tell me about some of the things where do you get it from? What kind of your favorites?
Do you know what? Like it's like everything. I mean, Google's a wonderful thing these days. You can get all kinds of. Well, you can get a lot of rubbish on there, and it depends what you read and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but there was when we had the shop in London, there's a beautiful restaurant down there as well that I always used to go into, a fish restaurant. And I was like, "Have you got any non-alcoholic beers?" Anyway, they had a brand called Lucky Saint, and so I thought, "All right, I really like them." So straight away, I'm like, "I'll speak to the brand." I love speaking to brands.
Yeah.
Like even when I was drinking, I had favorite brands. I'd be like,
"Really?
You know, that's no different to Master Debonair customers. They love. I still reply to most things on social media.
Yeah.
You know, they ask me questions, and I'll stay up till flipping 2 a.m. answering them. Yeah. It's so important that you kind of ingrained as a brand. So anyway, I spoke to the guys at Lucky Saint, spoke to the owner there. Yeah. Then I found another one called Freestar, spoke to the owners there. Yeah. And then it just from there, and then I've found a couple of online retailers, varying degrees of like. I just want to. I want to just engage with them online and on social media, and they don't really. But there's honestly search for.
Has anyone sent any free stuff yet?
Little bits and pieces.
Who
free.
Look at
free
the camera
star.
and tell us who you want free stuff off. I'm not even kidding.
Freestar.
Freestar. Freestar. Where are you at? At me.
The guys at Freestar were great. Yeah. I mean, they've just rebranded as well. Highly recommended. It is a little bit different. It's got a bit of a quirky, crafty kind of
but it's very environmental friendly, sustainability on how they make it and everything else, which is really important these days. And they sent me a nice free T-shirt as well.
Oh, nice.
But you know what it is? Like, the product is fantastic as well. So, like, there's
essentially what you've done here, Simon, is what I talk about. Anybody that's looking to get a handle on a habit is you've replaced the habit. You haven't just said, because here's what I think most men do, especially. Right, I'm not drinking. Right, I'm staying in. I'm like, what are you going to do? I'm just staying in. Not what are you going to do instead.
But that's
what
not,
are you going to do instead?
That's not solving a problem.
Because I think the trigger is still there.
It is, because
like you still need to fill that gap of what you've replaced. You have to do something.
If you decide, like, I certainly went to the pub a lot less than I did. But what I do, I pick and choose where I go now more than I used to. I think it's quite difficult if you're going to quit alcohol, and if you're going to say I'm not going to a pub again. That's I think I would find that quite difficult. Yes. What I was really conscious of is
not going to a social club anymore.
Oh, fucking hell! Like, you just cannot, you can't, because then that you lose part of your social life. But like I say, I've got other things that I love where I think, right, I don't want to spend all day in the pub now.
Yes.
You know, I'm trying to get my arse on me flipping new bike, which is starting to rust already.
Yes.
But like, there's so many different options there. When I was down, when we were first setting the Chesterfield shop up, I went to a pub and they had about 6 different types, like all kinds of different stuff. But what I would say is, and a lot of people who I've spoken to in business as well, is that they've bought non-alcoholic drinks, so alcohol-free beers. I mean, calories is a lot less, so you're not getting the munchies as much, and all of that stuff. Is they're not replacing it. They're kind of like, they're just getting a bit more of a balance. So they might have, it's like the old adage of having a glass of water in between. I never did that.
No,
I was like, hang on a minute.
Neither did I.
I get that.
You always tell me that. You know what he does?
No.
However pissed he is, he always has a pint of water.
No, I chug as much water before I go to bed to help the hangover. That's what I do.
Well, that was valuable time to get alcohol down my neck, like, so like that was never.
He's only 21.
Well,
he's only 21.
That's why maybe my mates were a lot less hungover than me. But like, so they're just getting that balancing act. So they might have a beer, and then they might have a non-alcoholic beer.
Really?
And it's just, all I can say is, listen, it's not like what were we saying before, Caliber and
Caliber, that was the one.
Caliber and Barbican.
Yeah.
It's just not like that anymore. I'm telling you, like the bang on, and it's quite cool.
Yeah.
So like the branding of it as well. So they've got all the crafts. I mean, like, you know, there's the usual Brewdog do a couple, and Brewdog are like just a phenomenal business.
That
just
brand
a
is
beast.
insane.
Yeah, I love
like the build a brand.
That brand is insane.
But like, give it a go. You're going to struggle a bit with wines.
Yeah.
They've got some fizzy stuff that's kind of all right.
Yeah. And that one I was telling you about, the three spirits.
Yeah, I've not tried that yet.
Mate.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It just, honestly, give it a go. You don't have to quit alcohol like me. I've got an app that I track how many days, how many months, and how many years now.
How many days are you now?
I need to look at my app.
Go on, have a look.
But it's about 14 months. Yeah. And I tell you what it also does as well. It shows you how much you saved, and it depends what you
really?
put in it. Yeah. So far it's 430 days.
Really? Shit, holy shit! Come on.
And I've saved. Well, it says 6,500 quid. But that's not true, because obviously I bought non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
But you know,
still, it's a ballpark.
Mate, well, for me, if I did that, you could add an extra 50 to 100 quid on every weekend for all the fucking stuff I was putting up my nose. At least 50 to 100 quid.
Well, again...
Thousands of pounds, that, by the way. That's insane.
Do you know, it kind of... You know, we're probably similar in a way, and I think most people in business or... Do you know, who have this appetite for something?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's alcohol, doesn't matter whether it's cigarettes, doesn't matter whether it's cocaine, doesn't matter whether it's whatever, injecting yourself. When you've got that in you, you know, and you're spending that much money and everything else, but when you're in it at the time, it's fucking fantastic.
It makes sense.
You don't think it's a problem?
You don't.
Until it's a problem.
Until it's a problem. Yeah. Until you're about to lose, like, your home, your wife, your partner,
your life,
your kids, your life. Your life, ultimately. And hey, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Tell
me about this then. I think this is worth looking at. What are some of the benefits that you found from getting a handle on this?
Like I was saying, it just will work
I mean, that was back in September 2019. So this was before like COVID all kind of kicked in.
Yeah.
It just became clear. I was like, right, they're not in the business anymore. We're doing that at home. Eve always said to us, I always used to say at home, like, just a minute, 1 minute. So if the kids would ask us something, if the dogs would ask us something, I'd do it straight away. Well, like if it's my wife or somebody else, it would be like, it'd just be one. Well, you haven't got a choice.
1 minute, Simon. 1 minute. Did you just say if the dogs had asked me something?
You haven't really got a choice when they're biting your fingers.
I seen something the other day where some lass has taught a dog to speak. She's got this mat out on the floor with loads of buttons. That's like, yes, walk, please.
What?
And the dog talks to her.
Intelligent creature.
Wow.
Intelligent
Crazy.
creature.
Wow.
So like it was always like just a minute.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I'd lost the ability to just have fun and have a sense of humour unless don't get me wrong.
Unless you were on it.
Unless I was on it,
Yeah.
life and soul of the flipping party and wanted to keep on going.
Yeah.
But I just lost like the touch with reality and what was actually important.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're saying yes to everything. Now to and like all of a sudden, I felt like great in myself. Yeah. And I felt real again. And I felt like it was like the real Simon.
Yeah.
And again, like it's not for everybody. But I was happy.
Yeah.
And I was getting up and there was no hangovers.
And mate, and how much does that impact?
Oh my God.
It impacts everyone around you,
Do you know what? And Eva's always said, she's always said, Simon, if you're happy, everybody around you is happy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's like that. And it was just getting up and I'm not saying skipping and all of that. But like, and I lost a bit of weight.
Just the backflips.
Do you know, I don't know if you saw the photograph I posted a little while back at 12 months apart. So I was up in, for not my last birthday, last February 2019, we went up to Edinburgh and fucking hell, like I looked at that photograph and I quit alcohol in the September. So I was about 1.5 stone heavier. And I didn't recognise myself.
Yeah, mate.
I was like Marlon Brando, like in that later on in life, where he was just massive and bloated.
Yeah, and
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
what?
Mad,
but the difference between that photo in February 2019 and then possibly just before sort of the Christmas in 2019, all of a sudden just looked a damn sight.
Yeah,
Mate,
I'll say that too. I did a live online seminar on Thursday, and there's a picture that I put on. Everyone's like, "That's not you." I mean, that's me. It was from 6 years ago, and I look older than I do now, which is mad. My eyes are different. My face is different.
It's mental.
It is mad.
And do you know, like, I mean, I've had a kind of rough couple of weeks with obviously what's going on in the world at the minute. So I don't feel as I'm at my peak. Yeah. My skin's not as good as it was a couple of weeks ago and all of that. However, if I was drinking still, I'd be sat here sweating and flipping.
I wouldn't invite you on. You
do you know what I mean?
You wouldn't be here.
That's very true. So like, it just, I don't know. There's a lot of good things for it. Even just cutting down a bit.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody. Yeah. And I think you've got to sometimes, unfortunately, reach a point. Hopefully, if anybody's listening,
when you know, you know. I'm like, when you know it's not working for you. If it's working for you, cool, keep doing it. But you know when it's not working for you.
I'd love to think that. Do you know, even if it's one person who listens to this and thinks, do you know, I don't want to get to that tipping point because that tipping point might mean I can't make a change because I'm no longer here anymore.
Yes, mate. Yes.
So even if it's just like one person that it resonates with and they think, do you know what it is? I'm going to give this a go now.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do you know, do it quietly. See if it's for you and just do it.
Yeah, I don't think you have to tell the world. I think sometimes telling the world is a good thing for some people.
Yeah.
But for other people, just get your fucking head down.
Do you know, it's like people, something that winds me up right at work or wherever is when people tell you how busy they are. To be honest, I haven't got fucking time to tell you how busy I am. So don't tell us like how busy you are. Do you know, we can all make choices.
I say it all when it's quite a thing that I've noticed me doing. When people ask how I am, first thing I say is busy. And the thing is, that's starting to become a part of my identity.
Yeah.
And now if I'm trying to build a business that doesn't rely on me being there all the time, if I keep saying I'm busy, I'm never going to be not busy.
Do you know that? I know we're ducking and diving here. That I just want to pick up on that point now about you building the business and it not being just you.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of advice years ago about that, and I've tried to come away from being the face of the business. Yeah. It's quite difficult, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's not about that. I've gone back into producing content again. Yeah. And to be honest, I enjoy it again.
Yeah, I had
a spell where I didn't mind.
Really?
Yeah, because it just seemed to be too much. I didn't want to be the face of the business and everything else. Now I'm much more comfortable with it and stuff like that. Yeah. But you've got to be able to let other people run it as well. Yeah. But you've got to build up gradually. You can't all of a sudden bring like a team on like we've done in the past. And, you know,
I think what we've built, what I've been able to build is, and this is true, I trained with a guy called Dr. John DeMartini, and I did some training on values. And actually what I figured out was I'm starting to build a business now where I only do the shit that I love doing, which just so happens to be talking. Matt knows the best better than anybody. I'm like, if you can set my business up so all I have to do is videos, podcasts, coaching, mentoring, being on the stage, being on other people's stages, being on podcasts, I'm fucking happy.
Do you know,
and we're in a world now where we can make that happen.
Well, you can, you know, because and sometimes it's hard to hand things over. I'm a bugger.
Shit at the rest of the stuff.
Because I am.
I'm shit at it.
Do you know, it's no different to Eve. She'd be like, I don't want to manage teams, and I get that. You're creative. Like the last thing you want to be doing is managing a team. Yeah. So I've gradually built it up, but I've had to whittle it back down again. Yeah. But I want to focus when we get out of this COVID shit. Do you know, I want to be. We mentioned brand ambassadors before, where it's Friends of MD. I want to be like the biggest Master Debonair brand ambassador, Friends of MD that the year.
You didn't get in a business to do things that you hate, did you?
No, because
you didn't build your own business to do things that you hate.
No, you don't, and I think you lose sight of it sometimes when you are busy and you're building it up and you're grown and focus on what you love. Yeah. Like you have to, because you can hate it quickly.
I'm busy doing shit that I fucking love doing.
Hey, nobody could stop me if I was out and about and speaking to people like you. Yeah. And it's not. I'm not selling anything. Yeah. I'm just. You know, some people have to drag out of us. You know what I do. I mean, it's one of them where, like, obviously it's quite clear there's something that I do in clothes with the way I dress. Yeah. So it's always a bit of a talking point, but it always has been. When I worked in a very corporate environment, everybody, the running joke was the board. They're all in the grey suits and black shoes. Yeah. They'd roll me out in my tweed suit, my tan shoes, because we had a customer who wasn't kind of corporate. Yeah. So I was a little bit different. Yeah. So I love that. Yeah. Focus on what you love. You've got to do the shit sometimes.
Yeah, you have to eat shit.
But really, just keep doing what you love and trying to really focus on what you love every day.
People kind of feel like they're forced, that they've got to hustle and fucking grind and do all this shit that they don't like because it's mandatory.
Do you know, like, I go back to my process engineering days. I started off life, I left school with one GCSE. I didn't really want to be in school. I wanted to be in the pub, and I wanted to play football, and I like girls. So like that. So I wanted to leave school, but I knew I wanted to work. I knew I wanted to earn money, and I started off as on a YTS in engineering. Within a couple of months of that.
Me too. I got £30 a month?
28, 29.
Me too.
Can you inform this young mind what a YTS is?
Youth training scheme.
It was kind of an apprenticeship. It was kind of very cheap labour.
It was like an apprenticeship, and sometimes you get to go to college once a week. And then I had to have 3 jobs at the same time to keep my going. I used to have to go to Team Valley, which was 2 buses and a metro, by the way.
So you spent your bloody...
to make radiators. To make radiators.
I've worked in some industry.
I only did that for a few months, but yeah, I did that, the YTS thing. Fuck me. 30 quid a month. I worked in the leisure centre on a weekend, through the week, handing the rubber bands out in the swimming pool. Remember Temple Park? Handing the rubber bands out. And then on a weekend, I worked in the venue in South Shields, and sometimes Masons in Sunderland I worked at as well.
Flipping mental.
Mad, innit?
When you think, I mean, I started off in a steel foundry, and then I got an apprenticeship from there. Yeah. And then it kind of...
Where did you work?
I worked in... so my mum and dad split up when I was 10, and then my mum married again, so we moved from Washington. Yeah. So I was 15. Yeah. Like, I had to have counselling, like, later on in life, because, like, that affected us massively, because I went from having... I had a girlfriend at the time. I was just going into my final year at school, and then we moved up to Stanhope
in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful now,
It's in
mind.
the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
Beautiful, but going from Washington.
Tell you what's mad. Check this shit out. When I worked at the radiator place, my boss lived in Stanhope.
No way. It just,
That's insane.
well, I look.
He's the only person I know that lived there.
I look now and think, what a beautiful place. I'd love to live there.
Fucking pterodactyl.
But I started off. Anyway, I started off life as a maintenance fitter in Wilson's Foundry in Bishop Auckland.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. It's in Asda now.
Yeah.
The filthiest hellhole you could ever like. Do you know? But I went to college. I had a Mark II Escort, so I could get around and stuff like that, which I paid 150 quid for. I had a bit of money and I didn't care. And so I went through college and then went to university eventually in engineering degree. And I don't know, I've changed careers twice massively over the years. Yeah. And I always remember a bit of advice this is what I've always said to my kids, is don't be worried to leave a job if you're going to better yourself. And it seemed to be every 2 years. I had 5 years at the Foundry. Yeah. And then literally I hadn't the longest I'd worked at a company was 2 years. Yeah. And I'd worked for 10, 15 different companies or something like that. And I'd always moved on and up with more experience. Yeah. So anybody, you might not find, what you want to do.
So many people, Simon, and you'll have a great insight on this, is I get so many people messaging me like, I don't know what to do with my life and that. I'm like, neither do I really.
Nah,
just have a fucking fun time.
Do you know what it is?
You know what I'm saying?
There's only now where...
I don't think you have to have it figured out, do you?
No,
but I mean... Some of these people are like 20-something-year-old messaging me. Any advice for someone who doesn't know what they want to do with their life? I'm like,
just what I've always said to the kids, they're all flipping 18 plus now. But like I've always said, just get a job. Get a job and get any experience. I don't care what it is. And all of them, to be fair of them, have gone to work. Yeah. And that's the way to do it. Just get yourself into a job.
I think the most experience you need, really, for me, in my humble but accurate opinion, I think one of the best experiences you can get is working with people. Like just getting around people and customers and learning how to
speak.
These kids these days don't know how to fucking communicate.
But they don't. And
we love the internet, and we love online, we love socials, we love YouTube, we love Spotify, we love Apple. Shout out Apple, boost me.
Well, get out. Get out.
You've got to learn how to talk to people.
Get out around. That's why, that I had no sales training at all. Yeah. What I did have was the ability to speak to people.
Yes.
Because when I was a process engineer, I had to speak to people who were working on production lines with equipment and find out what was wrong and ask them questions. Yeah. So I was this 16-year-old whatever. I'm dealing with a 60-year-old guy who thinks I'm a little shit, and I've got to fix this big crane or something like that. Yeah. But I learned to speak to people and be around people. Yeah. And that, to me, if you look at Master Debonair, I think there's only... We're down to 16 staff now. We've had to make massive cuts. But over the years, I've never looked for any experience in our industry. I've looked for what the person has done previously and do I think they can fit in.
Character.
I can teach them everything else.
That's why Matt was what were you? A plater?
Plater.
He was a plater.
Yeah.
Before he came here, now he's Mac of all trades.
But you know, it's having the desire and the want to learn and do something.
You can't train character, can you? You can't train.
You can't.
You can't train attitude.
Do you know we've had? I'll not speak about people who are not here to defend themselves, but we've had staff who I think have come in over the years and thought, happy days, I'm going to work for a clothing retailer. It'll be a breeze and I can just whatever. It's fucking hard work every day. Yeah. Do you know? And all as I want is for somebody to come in and do a shift. Yeah. And not sit around and whatever, but solve a problem. I haven't got the answers to everything, and I don't manage the business like that. I don't want to. I can find an answer for everything. Yeah. Whether it's the right one, I don't know, but I let everybody so just get out there and fucking anything. Any
and I
job.
think that's not just a necessary skill as learning how to communicate with people, but I also think. I remember it's one of the oldest sayings ever. I don't know who said it, but it's very popular in business, which is your network's your net worth. And that's how you meet people. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know when that... everyone's like, how are you getting all these fucking guests on your podcast? Someone asked me the other day, said, Paul, how did you get all these people on your podcast? Because she'd asked somebody that had... What's up, Ellie? She'd asked somebody that I'd had on.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get him on? I was like, well, actually, I look at all my things. I mean, obviously, when we got Tyson on, that one free.
Yeah.
So, but everyone else I look at, it's people that I've just met over the years. Chris Ramsey came on. sat there and he told me, the only reason I'm on this, bearing in mind how successful he is, he's just took fucking Terry Wogan's job. You know what I mean? The only reason he came on is because 10 years ago, I gave him fucking 100 quid to do a 30-minute gig for all these people that I used to PT. No shit. In that mad. In that mad. Ollie Ollerton, I met him because I did one of his courses ages ago. Tyson Fury, actually, even though I dropped some money on it, and I got it, not because of the money. No one else could get him, by the way. Never done any other podcasts apart from Mike Tyson's podcast and Joe Rogan's, right? I only got that really because I knew his manager. And I knew his manager because I'd fought on his show and I'd spoke to him around there. I'm trying to think of all the people that we've had. Anthony Crawler I got on because I knew the guy that used to be his strength and conditioning coach years ago. Jay Morton, who we've got on in 2 days' time, I know him because my agent is also his agent. Do you know what I mean? My agent's my agent because I coached James Smith. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of these people that I've got on are because I've got out and I've just been around people. And this is from someone that used to hate people, by the way. That was my thing.
I've heard, you know, like, I don't know. I've listened to the kids over the years and everybody wants to be a YouTube sensation and everything else. And like, you've got to have some kind of story or whatever. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, my wife Eve, before she came into Master Debonair and we set it up, she had her own marketing consultancy. So she was doing a lot of speaking. And she always used to talk about, you know, the most two powerful things of communication are Google and word of mouth. And are still to this day. So she's very right. You took social media into to that as well. Yes. The word of mouth thing is like, and getting out there and your networks, and you've got to make the effort, but you've got to, you know, I've been around. I don't like networking events as such.
No, me neither.
Because I've tried.
What I about networking events? People are only there for one reason.
You know,
if people are there to get.
If you're going to a networking event to sell something, you're wasting your time.
Yes,
because like
everyone else is there to
turns
sell
you
something.
off. It turns you off.
Yeah.
So like I joined the Newcastle Falcons Rugby Breakfast Club or something like that, and it was great because. You know, you kind of were asked to speak around the table and there was no selling and blah, blah, blah. I just went to listen to the speakers more than anything else. And drink coffee and bacon sandwiches.
He loves a butty as well, Simon.
Jeez.
Loves a butty.
But coffee, that's another thing that I need to talk about. But you've got to make the effort. Your networks are very important. You know, because there'll always be something. I spoke to Joe Bloggs about.
Well, that's how you would have met a lot of your manufacturers and that, right?
It's insane because I look who's around us now. Do you know, and what I'm really keen to do around our shops is get other independent businesses, and I mentioned Friends of Master Debonair before, and I really want to promote the life. I really want to help other businesses that fit us, you know, and there's
like an alliance.
Yeah, it is. I've got this vision during the first lockdown of bringing the likes of, you know, anybody in sort of people who were like in hospitality or whether it's personal trainers or like I've got Time Out Coffee who, you know, there's plenty of coffee companies out there, but I love the guys. I met the guys and I'm like, you're great. You're just like, they're like,
you fit us.
Yeah, because again, their product is sensational, and I'm not just pushing it because I drink it every day, and you know, I'll only promote businesses.
I've got a question. I'm not even sure if it's the right one. Are these the ones that are in Phoenix?
I don't think they're
downstairs in Phoenix.
Phoenix. I might be wrong though.
They've been over in Shields before. You know when they have the food festival on.
They're based in North Shields, right? So you go into this place and it's actually, they're like a Master Debonair of the coffee world. They're like, you go into it and it's beautiful and they do all the barista training and all of that. And it just, again, you've got to go out and find these people. I think I found them on social media, liked the product, tested the product, met them. And they didn't even talk about the product. The product sold themselves. I just like the guys. The guys are fantastic. And that's who I want around me now. You know, I don't need anybody. I certainly don't need people blowing smoke out my arse because I'm not like that. You know, I'm not a Billy Big Bollocks. I would rather like hide away and go home with the dogs and my family.
I'm
and
a Billy
stuff
Big
like
Bollocks
that.
around here.
Well, there's no space in the room for anything else. But like what I will do is speak passionately about things that I love and people who I love as well. That
attracts your vibe though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
doing that, being you.
And you know, I don't see a couple of people I sometimes think people, I don't know what people
make of us sometimes, but I'm passionate about things that I love. And if somebody asks me something I'm passionate about, and obviously I'm passionate about Master Debonair, I become like this.
You can tell by the way you talk. You can, literally when you were talking about all the stuff earlier.
I love.
Do you know, right? I find this. I did a training in August about this at the fucking Sea Hotel for my guys, and said, you know what? That enthusiasm there is infectious.
It is.
And here's the thing: even if I'm not as passionate about the thing as you are, it's the enthusiasm itself that lights a fire in me. I'm not going to go and buy loads of non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah, exactly.
But guess what? The way you spoke about it, still like it impacts everyone around you. You've got to take responsibility. I always say this to my guy, you've got to take responsibility for your energy.
Yeah.
But that enthusiasm that you've got there, that's fucking infectious. And everybody has that enthusiasm about something. A lot of the time, they just forgot what it is.
Do you know,
particularly if they've been trying to build a business.
I look throughout my career, and I've sold all kinds over the years. Bursting discs, for instance, right?
What?
So bursting discs. So
bursting discs
and explosion panels. Don't ask. So I was in this business for a couple of years, and that was the business where that was my last business before I then moved into marketing. And what it was, one of my biggest customers was GlaxoSmithKline in pharmaceuticals and in food and drink, and they'd put these steel bursting discs into pipe work. Right. So all of a sudden, if the pressure went too big, rather than the whole plant blowing up, like it would release this pressure and everything. Anyway. Yeah. You would not believe how passionate I was about these bursting discs. But I just won loads of business, not based on this technical specification and this is the price and blah, blah, blah. Just because I go in and I talk in this way. Yeah. And but there's only so long I could sustain being excited about bursting discs. But like everything I've ever been involved with, I don't know.
Yeah, you get into.
Yeah, I think,
I had this, like, you know how you said earlier, some things just stick. And I had something, and it was through school, and it was when I was
You learned something at school? No fucking way.
No
way.
I hated the fact of being there, but I went, I've got to do it. So I went, I might as well, for the time that I'm in the classrooms, just fully engage into it and get, not passionate about it, but give it my attention. Because I'm either going to sit here bored and get in trouble, or I'm going to sit here and give some attention.
Guess which option I took.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at all my reports, like mine was just like the class joker, and this was throughout like primary and infant school and whatever. Yeah. And like I just. But
that's the same concept that I've took throughout everything I've done. Like even the factory stuff, I wasn't that interested, but I was like, I'm here, I've got to do it. I might as well do a good fucking job.
Do you know? I think that's a great attitude. When I was at university, I worked in a press shop.
Simon's going to be recruiting you after
that. Actually, but like honestly, I would go to work like during university. So I was putting marquees up the first year, which was great. Second year in the summer, like I'd working in a press shop or something like that, making some steel parts. But same attitude. But it was always like, I tell you what, right, I'm going to work to earn that money that I need for whether it's my alcohol, whether it's my car, whether it's for music, CDs at the time, Jesus, showing my age. There was always
CD? I thought you were going to say records.
Well, records was a bit. But there was always, and this is a bit of advice as well. So like, I know, like, there's a lot of people hate going to fucking work and getting up on a morning. It is difficult. It's a bit different for me, is because I get up every morning. It's mine. I get up at the same time. I'm dressed and I'm out, regardless of how shit it is at the minute and the pressures that you're under. But it's like, have a goal of, so don't think of it. It's like, I think I've talked about this before, Paul. It's like, if you're going on a diet, right, or if you go to the gym and you hate the gym, you've got to think of the outcome, in my opinion. Yeah. Why are you going to the gym? Don't think that, I've got to go, I'm getting up when I'm going to the gym. It's like, the outcome is you're going to feel so much better. Yeah. Do you know, I'm not...
Remember also, the outcome, there's other ways to get the outcome as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's other ways to get the outcome, but if there's no... The thing that people come up with a lot, well, what's the point? Exactly. I don't see the point. But the point is the outcome.
But you also, the thing is, this, and I don't want to sound old or whatever, but there's this instant gratification. I know. Yeah. There's this instant gratification thing, right? which I understand. People want it now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's not, I don't wake up now and think, right, I want abs and stuff like that. I'm kind of like, I still train, I look after myself, but I don't beat myself up. But the thing is, people want everything like now. Not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
And that's why they quit. Because if they don't get it within a day, 2 days, a week, a month, it's like, fuck it. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Yeah. And it's the same with a job.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to keep your goals, and it might take you longer to get there.
Yeah. Well, mate, I was actually looking at someone today called Ben Coomba. He's a fitness guy. I've known him for a long time. And I saw this morning he made a post that he's been doing his podcast for 8 years. I remember being on it 7 years ago.
Jesus.
I'm like, mate, 8 years, fucking fair play. What we'll see is, and I've even thought about this. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I haven't got time for this podcast thing. There's not a return on investment. Or the problem is with the podcast, you're not aware of whether it's working or not, because there's loads of people listening, and sometimes the people that listen the most don't tell you that they're listening. But then the other week, a guy came in, he just joined my highest level program. He said, actually, Paul, I need to tell you something. I wouldn't have came in your program unless I heard your podcast.
Do you know, this probably like is a little bit like our business, because you don't, even though it's a completely different business, right? So somebody might see us on social media, and then we might be gone, right? So it's like, I've seen them once, but then you pop up on another channel somewhere, and it's important. It is important that you keep stuff like this going, and many, because you might not see an instant return on your podcast. Yeah. I mean, it's great doing it, but we're not sitting here because we're thinking, happy days. I'll catch up with Simon, I'll catch up with Paul and whatever. Do you know, we invest the time, and it is hard sometimes because you're thinking, I'm not going to get a return now, but you're going to help somebody, and down the line, like this guy, they're going to come along and say, I tell you what, Paul, without listening to that podcast, I wouldn't have signed up.
Mate, Joe Rogan, he's just got 100 million off Spotify. He must be on thousands of podcasts now.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what number he's on.
He's on, it's like 1,600.
That's consistency. Yeah. You'll get somebody who does 2 podcasts and like, why aren't I rich yet? Yeah. We'll get it from, I did this on my third ever podcast with my friend James Smith. What you saying, Smith? James is on, he's just released his second book, went to number 1 before it even came out, right? Yeah. He's fucking killing it. His audiobook went to number 1 and everything. He's done it. He's got a sold out UK tour coming up and that, talking about fitness, which has fucking blew my mind. Last year, I went to London on a Saturday night to see, he said, come to me thing, you can come in the back and have a drink with me and that. It's 1,200 people on a Saturday night at the Royal Albert Hall, not the Royal Albert Hall, where they have the boxing? York Hall, right? 1,200 people on a Saturday night listening to him talk about fitness for an hour and a half. That's mind-blowing. But what we get is loads of people are like, I want to do what James does. He's got 700,000 followers. And I said to him, people forget, because I've worked with James, people come to me and they want to do what he's done. They're like, oh, but I haven't got as many followers as him. I'm like, how many do you think he fucking started with? How many do you think this fucker started with?
Do you know, again, it's like...
He started with none.
I don't mean this to sound the wrong way, and I'm always very careful about what I say about Master Debonair, because things can change very quickly, and they have done during COVID. But what we saw is a lot of competitors come along after we set up and looking extremely similar. Yes. I mean, like the fit outs of shops and terminology and posts and everything else. And like, that's not going to work. You need to have your own personality, and you need to, like, it's hard work.
Mate, you see so many, and we were talking to Nathan Malcolm owns Couture.
Yeah.
Fresh Couture.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this, especially in what he does, this kind of active way, modern gear, skin tight gear. and
not for me then.
So many people seem to come and go from that industry. What do you think some of the secrets, and because the secret for the clothing and retail industry is going to be the same for anything, in my opinion. It's all very similar, the principles anyway. What do you think some of the secrets and why you've been able to succeed and stick around when so many other have came in and fucked off?
Because like I was saying before,
I mean, there are probably several, but
do you know, like I was saying before, it just, if it was just about the clothes, then, you know, we would have come and gone kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that whole buying in to the Master Debonair lifestyle, and we're doing more work on that as well. And I want to give our customers more reasons to follow us, which we're going to do a lot more video content, how-to guides. And I've really tried to help, and I mentioned educating and helping people earlier on, but like we're just down to earth and it's consistent.
Mate, I love that. I love that.
But it's
thing
just,
you've just said.
It's just like
about how to. I think that's amazing.
Well, yeah,
how to fasten a tie, how to do a pocket square.
It's all of that, and like, do you know, you get our followers and customers, and they'll always like they'll say like, "Hi Simon, hi MD." So we've created this. Like, come
community.
to us. It is a community.
Yeah.
Like we
I think once you buy a suit from Master Debonair, you're not going anywhere else.
Do you know, it's amazing.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like,
if I buy a suit from Simon, I'm not getting a fucking suit anywhere else.
And it is that. And it's just, what I do love about it, and this has been going on for a long time. We've got something like 184,000 likes on Facebook, and it's not a vanity thing. We've got about 25,000 on Instagram. We've got some real loyal followers and customers. So if you say anything negative, I don't even have to reply because what happens is people gang up and like, have you been to Master? And listen, we don't get it right all the time because we're dealing with the general public. I'm the general public. I can be a pain in the arse and everything else. Yeah. But I want people to come into Master Debonair and I want to look after them. Yeah. And I want to, do you know, that's why I post like a lot of non-clothes stuff. Yes. That's why I'll post about the dogs. Yeah. That's why I'll post about cycling. That's why I'll post about coffee.
Authentic.
It really is.
People buy from people, right?
It is. It's buying in their life. I tell you, this is where it started in terms of all the businesses that I'd work for. It said, you know, they're like, what's a USP, right? Oh, it's great customer service. I'm like, fucking great customer service is a given. That's not a USP. Yes. Why is that making you unique? Yeah. That should be a must. Yeah. That's not like, do you know, and we've invested so much time. It isn't. So he's a great example, right, of great customer service and a brand actually looking after like one of the customers. So I used to drink Whitakers before I sorted myself out, which is the Caledonian Brewery up in Edinburgh. Right. And there's only one left up there now, one brewery. And I always used to post on social media and they always reply to us. And I was like, this is great. Like, they're really buying it. And anyway, it was my 40th birthday. And my stepmom and my dad, when he was alive, they got a Whitaker's cake made. Right. Like, so a bottle of Whitaker's. So it was like a craft beer type thing. Anyway, I shared it, and they're like, that's phenomenal. They're like, can you come up to the brewery? We'll give you a tour, but can you get another one made?
Really?
And bring it with you? So I was like, fucking hell. So, like, we'd gone down to York, and then, so we carried this cake on the train to York, because we'd had a birthday weekend, and then we'd gone up to Edinburgh, and they just give us a tour. And they're like, so I left the cake and they shared it with the staff, but then they'd send us all freebies and stuff like that. Yeah. And I thought, that's what I want. If I ever set up a company, I want customers to feel as though they're part of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've got a question. So with these how-to guides, I've been looking at this crease on the arm. So I'm not a man that wears shirts very often. Is this obviously it's right, but how is it that you iron a shirt?
I don't. No. It's
a how-to question.
I'll tell you some secrets as well. Why I wear waistcoats. I don't have to iron the rest of the shirt.
Yes. So that is a life hack.
Do you know what? I don't know. I'm a bit particular with things. Yeah. You learn from people telling you, but I've always, like, when I bought shirts, they've always come with that crease. By the way, I didn't iron this. I had back in the day.
One of the dogs did it.
Whatever. One of the dogs. one of the dogs. Like, so, that would be a great print, wouldn't it? One of the dogs. Whatever. But it's just learning, and then, like, I don't use starch on them or anything like that. But there's so many. I'll tell you the other thing as well, that sidetracking. There's all these traditions, right, in menswear with suits, and one of them.
See that energy come up again.
I know, but it makes us laugh because I don't do traditional things. I do things that make me confident, and like our strapline, and we've actually got the intellectual property for this, is outfit and self-confidence. And that's what we're all about.
A whole fucking can of worms here, by the way.
That ultimately, when I go back to talking about, you know, solving problems when guys come in the shop, but you're not supposed to fasten the bottom button on your waistcoat, and it's this whole traditional thing of
your lad told me that the other week.
Do you know? And I'm like, it comes from. Do you know what it is? I'm not even going to bore you. Search on Google or whatever. Anyway, I think it's from a king who had a bit of belly, and he needed to loosen it off. I actually think it's the most untidy thing in the world to have it unbuttoned.
Not fastening that thing.
I don't like it, and I personally, I do things on purpose to actually button it and put it out there on social because I know the usual, and we have a bit of banter about it. Yeah. But my thoughts on how you dress is dress how you feel confident in.
Hey, so let's say, mate, we need to stay here. I didn't think we'd end up here, but this is important because I think confidence is a big thing. Lesley says to me all the time, why do you go to the barbers every week? You don't need your haircut every week. You don't need your beard done. I'm like, it makes me feel confident when I've had that done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes me feel like it's self-care. It makes me feel like I give a fuck about myself. So let's talk about this. What was the intellectual property thing? What was the quote?
Outfit and self-confidence.
Outfitting self-confidence.
Yeah, it was. Do you know, again, it wasn't like, oh, what we're going to do because that sounds good.
Yes.
It was like, right, really thinking about our customers and what we did for them.
Yes.
And it was like outfit and self-confidence because we see people, we've had a lot of feedback from customers who say come in and lost a load of weight and they've got no confidence whatsoever. And they need some help. They need to buy the first suit. Because I remember, I'll quickly tell a story. When I learned how to wear a suit, for me personally, I had a great experience when I went into Reese in Newcastle. And a guy taught me how to tailor a suit and I went and got it tailored. And then again, another thing, a well-known business person in the Northeast talked about when he put his suit on, it was like a suit of armor and he felt amazing. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. So it was like, that's where the whole outfit and self-confidence. But we've had customers come in who are at the lowest point, lost a load of weight, want to feel good. And my God, they've walked out like as confident as anything. And they've come back to us and said, listen, I haven't had a girlfriend or partner for a long time, you know, and I've got a life back. And that gives me more pleasure than most things.
So it matters. What you wear matters.
It does. Listen, I've always loved clothes and I've dressed in it and I've made some awful mistakes and whatever. But like that's part of the fun, to be quite honest. But confidence, you know, I can fully understand. That's why sometimes, depending on how I get up, I will choose an outfit based on how I want to feel. I know that sounds. I think I'm in a fortunate position now where I don't give it too much thought on what I'm going to wear the next day, unless I'm going to something. But I put it on and I know if I'm going to feel confident or not. And it's like, wow, this is fucking. I feel like, and I don't seem big-headed. I feel awesome in what I'm wearing. You know, and that just makes...
I think that anything that you can do that makes you feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more awesome goes a long way. Like, I get asked, this is kind of nothing to do with it, but I guess so many questions. What are the benefits of cold showers? Why do you do cold showers? I'm like, there are multiple benefits. You can Google them. I like them because they make me fucking feel good. When I come out, I feel fucking on fire. So none of that other shit really... It's great, but it doesn't fucking bother me at all.
You've got to... I think this is an example of everybody, though. Find what's right for you. There's no, like... The thing is, we're all very different. There's some things that work. Take bits of everything. Now, that might come with age and experience, but find the bits that that are good for you, like your cold showers and everything. It's like happy days if that makes you feel flipping wonderful.
Mate, and this is why when I talk about morning rituals, which I'm surprised Mark hasn't asked you yet.
Mate, this was literally... I was conjuring the sentence on my tongue.
I've got a morning ritual.
But when it comes to morning rituals and routines, everyone's like, what's yours? I'm like, it doesn't really matter what mine is. Because I could tell you it, and it doesn't matter because you're probably not going to do it unless you like the things that I like, which is for me, I'll do breathing exercises, I'll do me journaling, I'll do me planning, I'll go for a walk, I'll have a sauna, I'll have a cold shower, right? That'll be me thing, right? But I'm like, there's no point, I can give you some things, but there's no point in you following that. You've got to create a morning ritual or a morning routine, and you've got to do things that you value.
And they come to you. I mean, do you want to know mine? Mine's dead simple.
Let's go.
And it's a bit boring. Every morning, right? And I wake up and I'm awake. As soon as I wake up, I'm awake. I'm raring to go. So like over the years, I don't know how many coffee machines I've had. So now every single morning,
he's a coffee snob, Simon. Like,
I love a coffee enthusiast.
It has to be. I'm not going to I'll not talk about it too much because it's like everybody's got to find coffee in their own way. So I come downstairs and I bought this coffee machine years ago. Best investment ever. This Sage Heston, whatever it is, dual boiler grinder, whatever. So I get a proper coffee, every morning. Grind my own beans, and so I have a double espresso and I have a black tea with a tea bag left in, and that's the start of my day every single morning. So before I go, I go to PT twice a week. And I do the same thing every morning. And then I'm up, the dogs get a cuddle because everybody's still in bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. And it's quite simple.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's come from. It's almost like a tea chaser. It's the wrong way around because I have the double espresso first. So I've ground that, double espresso, black
Question,
tea.
are you pooping before or after the coffee?
Do you know, it depends because I'm as regular as flipping clockwork. It just like, I'll flip, and when it comes out like that.
I'm pooping first.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're pooping first?
I never used to.
Before your coffee?
Yeah. Actually, both. I'm a
I like to go with the flow, just let it.
See, I'm probably like you in that case.
Yeah, I'm like both sides.
I could be both.
I'm on the fucking coffee sandwich either side of a poop.
I think I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah.
So that's boring as it gets.
What I've noticed is it's simple. I think I used to especially overcomplicate. Yeah, I used to be like, right, at 6:15 I'm going to do this, and it kind of.
In morning ritual, why would you make the first part of your day, right? Hard,
exactly.
Why
yeah.
would you make your first part of your day full of stuff that you don't enjoy?
Do you know what also
it's not
as
a
well,
good start of the day, is it?
Like if you I've never given this a thought, actually. So imagine you've got, and it's different for everybody because some people can stick rigidly to things like that where I can't.
I like a bit of variety.
I do. But can you imagine if you failed at 6:15 a.m. every morning
Yes.
and you didn't do that?
Yes.
And you're like, that's your day?
It's a shit way to start a day.
Yeah.
Isn't that awful?
It sets the frame for your entire day.
But that's what I used to do. I've kind of leaned towards having more freedom in my schedule, but I used to like to have quite a time by time schedule.
Which
now
works. It does work for. I know some people, not too many
people.
Some people
crave certainty.
Yeah,
and some people. This is how powerful certainty is for a lot of people, right? Some people stay in jobs that they hate and relationships that don't work because they crave certainty so much. Mm-hmm. Because at least they know how shit it is.
Yeah.
At least they know how much it sucks. But me, I think part of being an entrepreneur is you like a bit of uncertainty. You like a bit of uncertainty. That's why you take risks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no, I've learned, I've totally came away from that type of morning ritual. I've got, right, I need to do these things. I need to be there by that time. Just get them done in that time. And then even if I don't get them all done, I don't beat myself up as much as I used to, but because I really used to.
Well, you're planning to fail.
Exactly.
It just like straight away, and you're under pressure for the rest of the day. Yeah. And if it's a Monday, you could set your week up for a complete failure.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, you think about this, most people are like, I have to be at the gym by this time. They don't like going to the gym. They don't value it that much. Then they don't make it. And then they beat themselves up.
Oh.
Just make the first part of your day first. Yeah. Give yourself like, when people talk about loving themselves and that, I'm like self-love is a fucking action. Don't force yourself to do shit you hate all of the time.
And I think it's important that people understand that actually having some love and some confidence for yourself.
I think that's what dressing well
is
a sign of.
It is. And do you know what? It doesn't matter if it's like, I love getting up and putting my scruffies on, and going for a walk or whatever. It's just whatever's like, but it's learning to really like and love yourself as well and finding the things that work for you. I think a lot of
people talk about this, right? But I think a lot of people just don't understand what it is. I'm like, when people ask me, how do I love myself more? I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. How would you know that you love yourself more? Through your actions. So just do more things. Be kinder to yourself by doing the things that you tell someone else you love to do.
It's taking the pressure off yourself a bit. The years, I think...
Putting pressure on yourself is like a double-edged sword, though, isn't it?
It is.
It's the motor way you get shit done.
Exactly.
But it's also...
It's the unhealthy pressure that's...
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Simon, I could talk to you all fucking day. Simon, where can the guys find out more about you and what you do?
If you just Google us. So you can find us at www.masterdebonair.com, which we've got a full e-commerce site there. Like I said before, we've got 2 shops. We've got a shop in Chesterfield, shop in East Bolton, both were private showrooms. Every social channel, you know, you'll find me talking shit across across every channel going. Feel free to drop. I'm on personally as well. I've got my own social channels. I reply to pretty much anybody. So get in contact.
I love it. Guys, Mr. Simon fucking Whittaker, Master Debonair, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.